And it's about that time. We are back right here on the Win Daily DFS, MLB DFS plays, props, and values, the early lock show. I'm Tony. This is Jason. As always, we got through a really good first week. We're going into the second week. A lot of interesting plays here and there. Actually, it's going to be like the third week because open day was like a Thursday or whatever. But Jason, man, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We just got done doing a show. We're doing another show. A lot of different valuable plays. We're going to talk right off with the pitching slate. 9 games on this late end slate, right? That starts at 6 o'clock. What are you looking at when it comes to, because we talked about Clayton Kershaw. Let's go right into this. We talked about Clayton Kershaw, 80 pitches, gets taken out of the game, right? He's the highest pitcher on the slate. Do you have him as your ace of the slate for tonight's game?
He is like the de facto ace of the slate, but he's not a must start ace. Look, his K prop is 7.5. With you're getting plus money on the over 7.5 on DraftKings right now. He's going to have the highest K prop. He's going to be the biggest favorite. So yes, he is the safest player on the slate to go ahead and roster for your cash games. But this pitching slate is super deep. It's not just, Kershaw and you fall off a cliff. It's Kershaw. Then you got guys in the 9K range in McGill, Garcia, and Mania that are all playable at 9,600, 9,300, 9,100. I think in GPPs, people will roster these guys as well. And then at 8,100 on DraftKings, you got McClanahan, who's interesting if he gets a longer leash. You got Lorenzen against the Astros, which I think people will be off in, but I think he's definitely in play. I'm not scared of Houston. And then you got guys like Frankie Montas going against Baltimore at home, Pitchers Park, 7,300, in a great spot. And you got Alex Cobb, who's in play. The Mets have been hitting really good, so I don't know if I'm going to go there, but he's only 7,500. His velocity is up. So there's a lot of different pitchers, so you don't have to play Kershaw, but in cash, I think you do. Go ahead and go with Kershaw. And I think you split them up. And you don't go all in on Kershaw because there's a lot of value in that mid-range. And there's some bats you're going to want to pay up for that don't go all in on Kershaw because there's other spots to get different.
Well, you say that, which is a good point because you talked about a lot of these valuable pitchers, and you can't go all in on all the aces of top money value. So when you get your stack on, we talk about Coors Field. We're talking specifically, right, about. There could be some sneaky players in Colorado because Aaron Nola has been inconsistent, but it's specifically made for the Philly stack, right? Because we talked about this with big money guys, 6,200 for Bryce Harper, right? 5,400 for Kyle Schwarber, 6,000 for Nick Castellanos. Are you going to attack these guys? You going to feel comfortable if you take 2 of those big money guys with maybe like a value pitcher like Frankie Montas?
So what I'm going to probably do is there's some strategy of building out your lineups where you're kind of hedging against certain things. So I would build some Kershaw lineups with the Philadelphia stack. I would build some Kershaw lineups without Philadelphia, and I'll also build some Philadelphia lineups without Kershaw. So you're kind of mixing and matching those scenarios. If Philly goes off or if Kershaw goes off, you can have them together and then you can have them apart. And then if you get the other sides of that right, I don't build just one liner for MLB. I'll throw in 3 or 4 or 5 different variations. Nights where I have more time, I'll go out there and build a couple more. But on this pitching slate, there are other options. So, yeah, I think you can go with a Philly stack. I think Colorado's in play as well. Look, Nola has been shaky, actually real shaky. He's susceptible to the home run ball, which is something that you don't want to have going into Coors Field. He'll have 1 home run against the Mets, 2 home runs against Oakland. And Colorado is not – they're not a bad lineup, man. This guy Connor Joe is raking. Chris Bryant hitting well. CJ Cron, McMahon, Blackman, the top 5 guys in that lineup, and maybe even throwing like a cheap Dom Nunez. There's bats in Colorado that can hit. I want to see the weather there. I also want to see the weather in Chicago because if the wind's blowing out, I do like Tampa Bay a bit. I think they're always under-owned. Right now, I'm looking at 15 mile an hour, maybe 20 mile an hour winds blowing out. There's no over-under set as of right now in that game, specifically because of the wind. Tampa Bay broke out a little bit. And Tone, I don't know about you, man, but I really don't know what to make of Kyle Hendricks. I think he's kind of washed. He had that great start opening day, and then he got hit up when everybody tried to go back in his cookie jar again. So I think Tampa Bay, with the wind blowing out, with a bad Kyle Hendricks, is a sneaky stack to maybe pair with Philly or Colorado.
So we got breaking news, right? So if anybody listens to the Win Daily Sports Show on Sirius Satellite XM Fantasy Sports Radio, we just got done doing a Sirius show and we were talking live bets. So Chris Paul has hit the over 1.5 3-point made prop at plus 175. So we are one.
I want to cut you off though. What did I
Uh-oh.
say to you? What did I say to you like
You
2
did?
hours? What did I say? Well, I didn't see the shot go up because I was so locked in with this. But what did I say to you? Just tell everybody that I'm kind of smart. I'm not super
You did
smart.
say that if they could keep this game close, if you keep the game close, that he's going to start shooting up threes instead of dishing the ball. And that's what they did. They cut the game. New Orleans, they cut the game with under 10 in the single digits. And what happens? Boom, CP3, 3-point made.
I said
Money
it
in the
live. I'm
pocket.
like, you need Chris Paul. If Chris Paul is going to take another 3, they need to cut it to under 10, and then
He just hit another one too.
there you go. There you go. Because when it gets close, he's gonna put up those shots. So kudos to you, man. You got some money, plus money on a good bet, 1.5 threes. And he went out there, got that one early, made you sweat a little bit in your hoodie all through the Sirius show, but now you got it. But back to baseball, man. Sneaky stacks. I like Tampa Bay. You kind of like Oakland.
Yeah.
Oakland, to me, it's a big park out there in Oakland. If you go Oakland, there's one guy I like. I played him the other day. Maybe some money. Sean Murphy at the catcher position. Nobody plays him. Nobody really knows who he is. And he's got power. So I do like him. But outside of that, if you were to stack Oakland, which one of these guys are you stacking with a guy like Sean Murphy?
So here's the thing, right? So if people that follow me and they listen to me here, I'm the big value guy. I'm the big, plus money better, and I like to take these sneaky value guys. So when I'm talking stack, I'm not paying $4,800 for Sean Murphy. I'm gonna get that power in Seth Brown at $3,400, and I'm gonna go with a guy in Tony Kemp who's multiple position eligibility. And he can do multiple things. I preach, and everybody's different. You're going to find it at Win Daily Sports, but I preach positive point production. And you can't always go all power. Listen, I know for me, for the Philadelphia Phillies, you go all power. Sometimes there's a blackout, right? So you got to get those guys that are going to give you 2 for 4 at the plate, knock in a couple runs, maybe steal a bag, and hit one in, different sides of the ballpark. So that's what Tony Kemp does. And against a guy in Spencer Watkins, it's basically a bullpen pitcher. This is for me, look, you get 2 guys, Jay, at $7,000. We just talked about, Frankie Montas as an ace at 7,400 sneakily, right? So you get 2 bats that could essentially give you maybe 20, 22 points in DK combined. I think that's a nice little stack, especially when you're talking about building up for those big Philly guys.
Yeah, and you talk about cheap players, man. Tampa Bay's got some cheap bats. If you're ever looking for a cheap bat, just go to Tampa Bay. And you go to their outfield, they always have guys like Kiermaier, Margot, Josh Lowe, Brett Phillips. All these guys are always going to be sub 3K. You're not going to know who's starting on any given slate, and there is some pitch hit risk with some of these guys. Not as much with Kiermaier, but they're always cheap. Ji-Man Choi is 3,800, Mejia 3,400. So Tampa Bay is a cheap pairing with Philadelphia. And we mentioned Philadelphia. Alec Baum, man, like you said to me off air, one of the better hitters, but he's got the yips, whatever you want to call it. Can't make a throw, makes a lot of errors. So Camargo is getting starts, and his price tag hasn't jumped up. So if he gets a start, I wouldn't consider him a free square, but he's going to be popular. It's a really soft matchup in Coors Field, 2,600. So it's a cheap way to get exposure to Coors Field. Like I built a pretty nice little stack right now with 4 Philly players, 3 Tampa Bay players. I got to find a one-off, but I got Montas and Kershaw with a Harper, Castellanos, Segura, Camargo stack. So I got some of the bigger bats there, and I still have $3,000, which I'll look at the lineup to come out tomorrow. 3K, you can find somebody at 3K playing shortstop. You can probably find like 10 of these guys because shortstop's usually a cheaper position to load up on. So I should be fine there. But I also can take Kershaw out of that lineup and go with a second cheap option and then really load up on all my Philly bats and Tampa Bay bats.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking about the gas can side. We're talking about Jack Cole because that's a guy that you want to attack with this Philly lineup. Now you said Segura. I know we talked about this before, But I'm with you. Obviously you got to watch Camargo's 2,600, so you got to watch what Girardi's going to do with the opening lineup. Like I said, I don't understand his being in Philly. Bohm actually has been the best hitter for the Phillies right now, as crazy as that sounds. But again, you don't know how they have confidence in him at the hot corner. So it seems like, but with the DHs now, it seems like he should always be in play. So keep an eye on that as well. But Jason, you talk about value, and we talked about sneaky stacks, and we had Adam on obviously on Sirius, and he talked about San Diego going up against a rookie pitcher. And I'm going to tell you why. Like again, another value play, but I always go with these low budget guys for my FFVP. And that's specifically for the reason why you're going Camargo. I'm going to go pro for it. I'm going to go Jurickson pro for it because, again, here's a guy who has 3 home runs, Jay. He has
Yep.
3 home runs. And, again, he is only 2,700 against a rookie left-hander, okay? At home, I just think this is a great play. But this lineup specifically, are you looking to do any San Diego stacks based on these numbers?
Yeah, I'm not like in love with San Diego. Adam backed it up though. They mash lefties, so there's a
Yep.
situation where you can get Machado cheap. You get a couple of these bats. They're all affordable. That's the thing with San Diego. They're all really affordable. 4,700 Machado. Then you got Cronenworth at 4,200, Grissom at 3,900, and then everybody else is like 3,600 and below. If Voit can do something with the bat and he starts heating up, he's only 3,300. Nola, good hitting catcher, 3,600, usually hits towards the top of the lineup. And you mentioned Profar, switch hitter, plays multiple positions, so you get that benefit. And he's really not pitch hit risk. So he's cheap, can't really burn you. He can steal a base, he can hit a home run. And he was a top prospect back in the day, like one of the highest prospects, for the last 10 years, but he just hasn't really, made it to that Tatis level, Machado level, but he was on that level prior to them. So maybe he's heating up. Maybe he's figured it out. He's having some fun out there in San Diego. He's playing looser. Maybe without Tatis there, he has kind of like a defined role in this team where he's playing every day now. So I like that call, 2,700, and I support Adam, man. He's on this team for a reason because it's a rookie pitcher on the road, lefty, where San Diego is strong against lefties. But we're gonna need some guys like Austin Nola and Luke Voigt and Cronenworth to step up in this game because these San Diego bats have been kind of quiet throughout the season so far. So they haven't been doing what they did last year.
So speaking of Adam, right? We had him on, and you mentioned this before we had him on. You started talking about a guy named Alex Cobb, who again, for some reason, San Francisco continues to be the unheard of, unspoken team that just wins games. But let me ask you this because they're going up against your Mets, and we talked about Miguel. He's pretty high priced, but Alex Cobb at 7,500 with reestablished velocity against a team that's been hitting the ball a lot. I mean, I think, Jason, you said it earlier. I think they're like number 1, number 2 of runs scored, early on. So what do you think about the Cobb matchup against the Mets?
Both these pitchers, if they were facing somebody else, I would love them both. But McGill, the Giants are just pesky, man. You have your Stremski and Belt and Jock Peterson, Crawford, some lefties that have been hitting the ball. So it worries me just because it's the Giants, man. They figure things out, and they've been hitting well this year. It's not like they're not the numbers are standing behind them. And the Mets at the same time, McNeil has been swinging a hot bat. Lindor has been hot. Marte's been hot. Alonso's been hot. Escobar, Cano are doing their thing. It's a tough lineup right now. They're scoring runs. So I'm gonna try to have a couple shares there, but they're not my favorite pitchers just due to the matchup. It kind of worries me. The only thing that's gonna be in their favor, Tone, probably New York got cold today, and I think it's gonna be cold tomorrow. So if that weather drops down and it's like 40 degrees at game time, and the wind's blowing in at game time, then I might get some more shares of Alex Cobb. And I want to see the lines that roll out as well. They become more interesting if it's cold out and the wind's blowing in. If it heats up, which I don't think it is, because I heard I think I turned on the news earlier, it's going to be like 40 degrees tomorrow. So if it is cold, I will bump up my shares of both these guys because they're priced right. Their K prop is out right now. McGill is 5.5, which is one of the higher K props out there, and we want to target guys are going to go out there and get strikeouts, and Cobb is 4.5. So at his price tag, it does make sense. The other guy I'll mention too, we haven't spoke about him much, but Mania, his K prop is 6.5, man. So that's something
Ooh,
that we haven't spoke about him. He came out Cincinnati, man, weak. Their lineup is weak. They strike out a good amount. And what I like about Mania too, first game 88 pitches, second game 86 pitches, 6Ks, 7Ks in both those games. And against San Fran, one of those games, tougher matchup. He went out there and did his thing, man. So he's getting comfortable out there in San Diego. He should be in line for the win too. San Diego is going to be a big favorite. By the time this game's locked, they're already minus 165. That number might go up. So, if you want to get a little different, I think Mania is there. This is a great pitching slate, man.
it
There's
is.
guys that I can sell you on pretty much in every game. If you go Kershaw, I'm down to pitch him. Montas, down to pitch him. Mania, down to pitch him. Outside of Coors, yeah, Lorenzen and Luis Garcia, I'm not playing a price tag, but Lorenzen, another guy we haven't mentioned yet, I'll pitch him. If there's not a lot of wind in Wrigley, McClanahan's in play. I'm not touching, Zach Thompson or Eric Lauer. They're not really in play. But then back to, San Fran and the Mets. These two guys are both in play. So all these pitchers are good. It's going to be tougher getting stacks. It's going to be tougher to get different in your stacks because everybody's going to be loading up on Philly and Colorado because that's the easiest game that everyone sees, the over-under 11. So that's going to be popular. I suggest you get your shares of Coors Field because Vegas is typically more times right than wrong. But find ways to get different. And if you're going to build more than one lineup, make sure you play one Coors Field type lineup and then one without them because they're going to be super popular going into tomorrow.
And just keep an eye on the East Coast weather because as much as it's going to get cold, it's supposed to rain. So you're going to see that Arizona Washington game. There's chance of a rain out. The San Francisco Mets game, chance of a rain out. There's a lot of rain on the East Coast in the next couple of days. So you're gonna have to make sure you stay glued to that. You keep a wide eye open at that as well, especially if you're going to be betting those K props. But look, we talked about the Coors Field thing, but before we get out of here, Jay, you look at we talked a bunch and covered almost every single angle. But any final thoughts? Any final looks? Maybe one player that maybe you're looking to avoid. One player maybe you're all in on. Shares on before we get out of here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now, if I had to make a lineup tonight, Tampa Bay is going to be your sneakier of stacks. They make a lot of sense. They're cheap. If the wind's blowing out, they may become a lot more popular, but they still won't be as popular as Coors Field. To that point, Brandon Lowe, the top half of this lineup with, Franco and Rosarena. We got to see who's healthy, who's not healthy for Tampa Bay right now. But Tampa Bay is the sneakier stack here. Check out the weather and come into the expert chat on our Discord, man, and ask the questions to me and Adam and you and everybody else in there. We got an NBA slate, 3-gamer there. There's a lot of money on the line with NBA playoffs and MLB kicking off. And in our expert chat, we're having conversations all day, every day. And Adam saved me a couple times so far this year, just being on top of the news. Mike Trout got scratched one day. There's a potential rain out here. So we're all helping each other out. So my biggest advice, if you're watching us on YouTube or on Twitter or on Twitch, whatever the case may be, make sure you go to our Discord chat. Make sure you go to windailysports.com. And if you haven't used the optimizer and you want to try it out, use promo code radio, gets you a free week to use all of our tools. If you're a free subscriber, to hop in an expert chat, it makes a big difference to be there and learn what we're looking at as far as stacking goes, what we're looking at as far as, lining up the right pitches. We're here to help you. We really want to turn your love of sports into a profit center. I was laughing on series today that one of our subscribers has been with us for quite some time. He was upset about a $1,500 win, but I was happy to see that because I'd be just as upset because when you have those big nights, you want them to be even bigger. So I like that competitive edge that, one of our subscribers show. So hop into the expert chat. Make sure you lock in with us prior to lock. Adam puts his cores in there. I put my notes in there. We'll be putting in props, bets. We got you covered on everything. So make sure you hop in the expert chat so we can have those one-on-one discussions to really teach you how to stack. And things change with weather. Things change when lineups roll out. So even though we write an article or our projection models up there, or lineup optimizers up there, those conversations, we get these gut feels or news comes out, breaking news, it allows us to adjust, and potentially pivot off of somebody who's popular and get on the right side of ownership on our stacks and our pitchers.
Yeah, listen, it's a great point. What I'll say, on an outro is number one, I need 2 points from CJ McCollum. We got about 4 and change left, and I need 2 points from CJ to get my second plus money prop. But what I will say is, and again, if you follow Jigsaw here, I'm fully transparent as a guy who 100% always said, that maybe I could just do this and pick guys. I'm telling you something right now. When you're running every single day, you got families, you got multiple full-time jobs, but you still want to get in the game. This is the kind of stuff that you need to join up because you don't have time to break through everything. We do that for you. Mention and this isn't just a single anybody out, but I'll tell you what, Adam is the one guy who's consistently in these chats every single day for Major League Baseball and even for NBA. I know Ghost is as well. They just consistently keep you up to date. Where else can you just go in a flip of a finger and know exactly who you need to target? And it takes you 30 seconds. You could do that while you're picking up your kid from basketball practice or baseball practice. So that's just not, just because we have a company here, but this is because we believe in what we do and we're very passionate and we enjoy everybody who's in Discord as well. But listen, 9 games tomorrow from 6 on, going to be very interesting. We got some NBA games. It's going to be exciting. But as always, make sure you're following us at Win Daily Sports on all social formats. And as always, sponsored by the Sharp app, your one-stop shop for all things sports betting. That's where you get all the lines from all the books. And make sure you're checking out the affiliate codes as well. There's free money to be had. We drop articles every single day. I think we got like 4 Major League Baseball articles dropping every day. We got covering hockey. We had UFC this weekend, NASCAR, PGA. I mean, every single day there's something to read. So as always, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Catch us in the podcast as well. Make sure you're hitting that 5-star. Make sure you hit the 5-star. It takes 1 second. Go to podcast, hit the 5-star, drop a 1-line review so we know everybody's tuning in. Get us in the comment sections as well. Make sure you're getting those comments. And again, Ivan, as always, thanks for checking in. So we're going to get out of here. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll catch you right back here tomorrow night.